All right, and welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trade. Today is Thursday, November 9th, 2023. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Now 5 for 5 to start the week here. So getting off to a really good start in the Active Trader Discord. Come join. Got a promotional rate for the first month, $39.99. After that, it's $100 a month, and that's paid off easily in one trade. That runs through the 19th. Anyways, let's get into the charts here today. Powell closed the fucking door on this rally. So if you haven't heard yet already, I mean, it's not really that newsworthy, but you can hear an expletive in Jerome Powell's press conference today. Again, interrupted by those pesky climate change people. So again, I'm not going to play it for you because I don't want to get demonetized. But you can go check it out for yourself. I retweeted it. Jem Carson saying, Fed selling out calls again this morning paired with issuance overhang. Is Powell closing the effing door on a year-end blow off top? Continued weakness in the heart of the window flow strength is a warning sign. What does this all mean here? So basically, we're kind of in a window of strength for the market. I've made that clear. I've talked about a possibility of kind of a rolling top here, and then, kind of a pullback towards next week. That could be the case. One thing I want to take a look at here is this trend line. Doesn't look like we're going to recover by the end of the day. So guess what we're going to do? This is what we do as technicians, right? I've seen people with this same trend line up here. I have mine right here. But what you do is you respect the market. What level is the market respecting? Obviously, this hit pivot, this pivot, and now you could make a case that this is now respecting. So what if we just do that, right? Looks pretty good, right? I mean, what is this getting pierced by? A half a point? So you can make a case we've hit that trend line now. I know we talked about 4,400, giving the market the upside bias until then. But we have, I would say, a pretty decent, I mean, this is an outside candle. We just wiped out 3 days of trading. Now, we still have an hour left to go. I'm doing a live stream with my members after the bell, so I won't be able to cover all the way into the close here today. But as of right now, we've wiped out 3 days of trading in one session. And we, again, the market's kind of floating up here, divergent, and we're getting that outside move. Additionally, a lot of, one of the things I was just talking about a little bit ago with my members is, you notice how everybody's talking about the gap. Oh, we got to fill the gap. We got to fill the gap. Oh, they're going to go fill the gap. Guess what? When everybody wants something to happen, usually it doesn't. Or at least, doesn't have to, but maybe you get a fake out first, and maybe this is how they're going to get us to that gap or to that 4,400 area. Maybe tomorrow we rally and I move the trend line back here. But for right now, I'm going to put it right there. Sorry, let's put it right there. So it goes through the high of the day. And we're just going to say that we hit it. Now, what was the big story on the day? Chinese clearinghouse, ICBC. I believe it had a cyber attack or something of that nature. But I guess they couldn't close out, or they couldn't settle a bunch of treasury trades. And that may have contributed to the weak bond auction. So there was a weak bond auction today. It may or may not have done that, but what does the market hate more than anything? Uncertainty, right? So we're seeing market sell anyway. Take a look at the ZB here today. By the way, members day traded this today too and made a nice score off that dip here. But you can see the ZB coming in really on the short end of the curve. That is what's getting hit the most. So the ZT, the 2-year, that is down 16 basis points here on the ZT. And back below that green candle, Powell came out and said before the climate disruptions that he was open to continuing to raise rates if necessary. Market does not want to hear that, right? The market wants to hear we're done, and he's not giving that to the market. I talked about this earlier as well in the YouTube short. Would Powell talk this rally down? Right? That was literally the title of the video, and it looks like that's what's happening, right? So again, if we look at the TYX, the 30-year yields have come back in pretty sharply in anticipation of the Fed being done. Spiders have rallied sharply in anticipation of the Fed being done, right? And again, this is inflationary, right? So if the market continues to go higher, people's 401ks go up, people make money, day traders make money, swing traders make money, all these people make money, and then they go out and spend that money, and that's inflationary. So the Fed kind of talking this down here. That's my takeaway for today. But we won't take anything for granted. Again, the market had a very strong move here. Again, it was all just short squeezing and gamma squeezing, but it was still a very strong move, powerful move. And, as long as you hold that 50 MA, remember, bond markets close tomorrow. So like I said yesterday, then when the cat's away, the mice can play. We could still, push up. I wouldn't rule it out. They may have just dumped this down to get fuel, get some shorts on board, right? Why couldn't you fill this gap? Why couldn't you fill the gap? Maybe because they didn't have enough fuel. So that's certainly a possibility here. But say a lot here. The real line in the sand is 433.01. So on the spiders, if you follow that, if you follow the SPX, 43.34. That's the line in the sand. You get below that, then you're wiping out this whole, 4-day rally, and you've got a gap down here at 430. I think minimum you got to get into that. If we look at the intradays here, this isn't even like you've got a little support around 428, 429. That's just an intraday level. Again, what do I always say? You need to build support on the way up. Ask yourself, did we do that? Right, so that's going to be an issue. Your really big level is, 420, 422. Those are going to be levels there on the spiders to watch. 50% fib at 423, 70, 618 at 420. So those are levels I'm watching here. But pretty good outside move so far. Again, we'll see if they prop it back up and close us back above 43.50. I'm doing this in real time, and that does look like a gamma stick right now. I could see 43.40 though, which isn't that far. But in any case, nice outside move for the markets, and I'll shut the effing door on the rally. Q's down 80 basis points. If NVIDIA wasn't up more, they announced this morning they were going to basically try and circumvent Biden's kind of chip embargo with their own plan. I'm not sure the details. I don't really care. But NVIDIA did gap up. We talked about this in the trading room this morning. I said, if you guys want to take a shot at NVIDIA up here, this might not be a bad area. Take a look at where it went, right into the trend line, gap up. And now, almost pushing red here. So this market would be down a lot more if not for NVIDIA. Microsoft, that may be topping out finally. We got to call the market police because it is now back inside of its Bollinger Band. 4 or 5 days in a row, it was completely outside of its Bollinger Band on the entire daily candle. Now finally coming back to earth potentially. Also into a double top there. But triple Q's here down 80 basis points. Told you guys 375 would be max move. We got to 374.80 and we're pulling back there. Again, if we do hold up and something happens, I could see us inching up a little bit higher, but pretty good outside move there for the Qs. Again, NVIDIA really was the star of the market today. IWM, not the star, down 1.5. That's below the low from the 2nd of November. That was last Thursday, so that was precisely a week ago. We did wipe that out. This is going to have to go to gap at some point, right? That's what it looks like here. And again, breadth continues to be terrible. There's no secret about that. Dow here down 0.5%. Outside move wiped out all 4 candles. So definitely on the weaker side here. Still some support here. Short term, you got the gap. You got the 200 and the 50. So that could get back checked. You could get a tail candle and hold up there. Tomorrow, perhaps, again, bond market's closed. Anything can happen. Semiconductors, green to red day. So gap and crap on the semis, down 7 cents. Right now, again, there's an hour left. We could float back up, but still not a real good showing there. I talked about not really seeing much upside past 153. I think that was the level I gave. I don't remember. I give out all these levels here. But in any case, it got a little bit higher this morning. It went into this minor double top. And now we're pulling back in. So we're pulling back right into that channel. Short term, if you start to continue lower, we'll look at this gap here, 146 area, 50 MA. Will be kind of a near-term stalling point. IGV continues to be strong, but it did hit our level. So we talked about 360, got to 360, 139, and pulling back. But I mean, beautiful channel there. The blue trend line right into that and pulling back. Short term, we'll look at, let's say 349, and then if you get through that, obvious level there would be down to 340. Transports are a problem. So we'll say that right off the bat here. Outside move down. I don't like bull flag below the 50 moving average. Talked about that yesterday. And now we're back below all these pivots here. And it looks like we're going to close below that 20 moving average. They may save it, you know, again, in the final hour or so, but just not a great look here for the DJT. And that may need to go back, check to this trend line here and maybe even fill that gap. So we'll watch that. But definitely an outside move down and down 1% on the day. Interest rates here. Another thing too, before we even get interest rates, take a look at the yield curves today. So the 210 is actually tightening. The 3-month 10-year is tightening. They're all tightening. So despite what Powell said, the yield curves are tightening today. Interesting. Got to watch those things, you know, under the hood. 2-year yield up, obviously, above that red bar. So it's going to go back check this trend line and those moving averages. You get above that, that could be interesting here. But right now, we'll just watch for it to go test that trend line, possibly tomorrow. There's the 5-year. That trend line coincides with the 20 MA. And the 10-year trying to reclaim that. It is reclaiming that 50 moving average. Short-term 480. The 30-year trying to get a bounce here. Not sure what this one wants to do right now. I'll be honest with you. You do have the lower low. There is room for a lower high, though. And again, looking at the 4-hour, or just let's look at an hourly. Actually, I'm going to use TLT because it's easier for my brain to process it right now. TLT not making new lows with the market. That's your positive. So despite the weak auction, you know, we had that big dip down, but it's actually kind of holding up here. That's why I'm not so sure right now. You have a bearish inside bar here, but that's why I'm not so sure where this one wants to go here, because it's not making new lows with the market. Granted, it's not rip roaring to the upside either, but there's room for this to make a, you know, I'm just going back to the intraday here. There's room for this to make a higher high before the end of the day. If it does that, I think it can recover. But the short end getting walloped here, and we'll leave it at that. XHB, guess what? 1, 2, 3, 4 days wiped out. So you got a little support there with the gap, and then it's down to the 200 at 74. VNQ, outside move down, retesting this previous, used to be a double bottom, still a good psychological level though. And that's getting hit right now, down 1.5. If that continues lower, there's the gap there. XLF, not in good shape here, although it is off the lows. So it, you know, actually getting a little bit of a bid here. In JPM, get a little pop coming off the lows. So down just 10 cents here. What I don't like is the KRE. Not a good look, right? So 1, 2, 3. Had that big outside move, looked so great. Weekly close looked so good. It was gonna get repaired. Everything was fine, and now right back down. So if this continues lower, it's got to go retest 40, and that's got to hold. 36 has got to hold for KBE. And then KBWB, we're just going to say 38 bucks there. Broker dealers down as well, so that's going to close below, likely going to close below this green bar here. So that's not a positive. You know, I'm going to say it's got to go back to 460 if it can't hold up here or hold this 20 moving average. So broker dealers in a little bit worse shape than the last couple of days. Energy here, so crude. Managing to scratch out a minor gain right now. Did I day trade this day? Yes. Did we make money? Hell yes. Am I out of this already? Yes. So this is a good level here. You got a 618 and you got that prior breakout. I talked about this yesterday. We got a bounce out of it and it's coming back in already. That doesn't mean it can't find its footing and push back up to 80, but you want to kind of see if it's going to put in a low. You kind of want to see a V shape, and it started to, and then it came back in. So this could still go lower, but definitely weaker, and not good that you're not getting that reaction off the 618 and off that level. Still a lot of support around 74. If we got down there tomorrow, might even be interesting again. The bigger levels are bigger level is right down in here with this big failed weekly bear pattern. But crude coming in a little bit, and yeah, we'll continue to watch that tomorrow. XLE, I still think that's got to go down to 82, maybe 82.25. XOP, that looks like it wants to pierce the double bottom and the 200 moving average. OIH, that one's green, So that's up $1.90. Again, getting some support at that falling wedge trend line. That could still go down to the 200 moving average, though. Uranium, CCJ holding up. Got it. You know, if we get above this level here on a weekly close, I would say that's a huge positive for CCJ. And then it's up to 45. I keep thinking it needs to pull back, but it just doesn't. URNM still doing weekly consolidation. Nat gas continuing to pull back as well into this area. I can't rule out a little bit more downside. Actually, I'm looking for a little bit more downside on this into that 50 moving average. There's no inventory number today, by the way, for nat gas. That will be next week. So that did get postponed. Dollar index. So this one's interesting as well. So kind of pushing back on that 106 area. So right on that 50 DMA. But the big level to me, as you guys know, is 106.22. We close above that. Then the dollar's back in business. So, the weekly, yeah, I don't like that we close below this kind of little, it wasn't even that good of a mother bar, but it's, it started the bull flag. I don't like we close below it, but, you're in an uptrend here, so anything can happen. But dollar, that's still the big level there. We'll see what that does tomorrow. Technically, you do have a daily bearish inside bar, though, so just respect that. Gold here, getting a bid, though it came off the highs here, up 34 basis points, tagged the 200 moving average. Where did I tell you it needs to go? 1950. Didn't quite get to my 1940. I gave you two levels, said 1940, 1950. It got to 1948.3 and got a bounce there. We'll see what that does tomorrow. Silver, I told you I had a buy signal on this today. Did we day trade it? Yes. Did we make money? Hell yes. Are we out of it already? Yep. So got to be quick with these. But silver got a nice pop and then came way back in off the highs. So we got in at 22.62, got out around 22.80, was it 22.86, I think. Went up piercing 23 and then came back. Pattern is still fine on the weekly, but I don't like how it came back in today. We'll see what this does tomorrow. The weekly close will tell us a lot more. Platinum into double bottom. I think that's got one more downtick in it. Palladium is super interesting here. That is getting into, that got down to 993. I'm all for accumulation down here if you want to. If you want to start dollar cost averaging. You got a monthly 200 MA oversold in a straight line into a massive, massive support level. Yearly, monthly support level. So I do like palladium in this area. Copper pulling back a little bit. You guys know nothing's changed there. Bitcoin, so that was a big star of the day until this morning. Well, until later this morning. I did tweet about this too. By the way, the hype was like at an all-time high. Not quite an all-time high, but it was getting ridiculous out there. Take a look at this Bollinger Band here on the monthly. We pinged it, and we're pulling back. Be careful with this here. So that can be, in the daily here also was not confirming that up move. So just be careful with Bitcoin here. It went up to 38. I told you 38,000 to 40,000 would be resistance. We got to 38.20. And now we're pulling back in. So watch Bitcoin here. It's still holding up. It's still green. But if that continues lower, especially on a monthly, that could get a little interesting. Meaning like your 20 moving average is at 25,000. I'm not saying it goes there, but that's usually what happens when you test a Bollinger Band like that and it's pointing down. So just be aware. There was a lot of hype out there this morning. Ether, that's still holding up really well. So alts, a lot of them went red here, but ETH's still hanging in there okay. Back above, I think I told you, 2,000 it could get to, and it got through that, made a slight higher high. So ETH is playing catch up a little bit. Look at these, look at Doge, was pumping earlier, came back in. Polkadot, that's still not terrible there on Polkadot there, holding that 20 MA. Litecoin, not so much. XRP, Solana, this is overbought. Cardano, so sector's definitely hot. So we'll definitely no lack of action. Anyways, spiders here. So still hanging at the lows of the day. I think we close right at 43.50, if not 43.40. Yeah, right now It does look like Powell slammed the door on the rally. And we'll have to see here. The big level to me is 433.01. If we get through that, things definitely get a lot more interesting in this market. And, then we start talking about being in pullback mode for now. But one last thing, too. Just throwing this out there before I forget. You kind of figure a pullback was coming. Take a look at AAII this morning. It is a massive jump for the bulls. Look at the bears. Last week, 50.3% down to 27. Bulls at 24.3. So we got this huge rally, and then booms. Sentiment shifts very quickly in this market. But anyways, guys, that's the level to watch, 433.01. We'll keep an eye on that for tomorrow. Anyways, guys, going to wrap up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I will talk to you guys all tomorrow.